38% of all the communication is by words, by what we use, the language. Only 38% is by the tone of voice. Okay. Tone of voice, and the remaining 50% is by non-verbal communication. It is not by words, it is by our gestures. It is by our... Have you gained anything from these 6 hours? You got any addition to your value? Do you feel that? Are you someone different than you were yesterday? Yes, you are slightly different. So you have added value to you. Your value, brand value is now today more than what was yesterday. Good. This is a good beginning, and if you practice these things, after 3 months, after 1 year, you will surely come to me and appreciate for what I have done. I am pretty sure about that. So don't lose hope. Always be positive. You made a good beginning. Go ahead. So first session, we started goal, and first 2 sessions, the first half of second session, also we discussed that. Now you are sure how to set a goal, how to know what you want. And the third session and the second half of second session, we totally discussed time management. By now we are comfortable finding the time wasters, and we are comfortable finding our most effective time. The most urgent and important works we had, like a potato example yesterday. The big potato, the bigger ones are the most important in our life, in our 24 hours bottle. Put the big rocks, the big potatoes, then put small one, and finally go for the sweet sugar. Facebook, TV, and if you go for that at the last, you refresh your mind. Also, it sounds very taste. It tastes very well because it is sweet. Always you like it. Whether you have time, you don't have time, you go for it. So take it as the last activity. If no time, no sweet. Potato, onion, groundnut, finish. So today, we progress to a new stage. The time management is different, the goal setting is different, and today is communication skills. How do we communicate? We have to communicate because if you want to be successful, we have to deal with people. If I have to be a successful teacher, I have to deal with my students. Because all my job is to teach students. If I want to be a good teacher, I must communicate very well with the students. So there are certain techniques, there are certain basics that many of us don't understand. So let us start with the first one and go step by step. Some facts about communication. What are the basic facts about communication? Imagine, just I am standing here and I have a cell phone. I kept this here. Assume that the phone rings. There is a call. I don't lift the call. A call is like this. I will not lift. By not lifting, am I communicating anything? The caller, the one who calls me, he's trying to reach me. I am not lifting. So, am I communicating anything to him?
No.
Now, see, if I am the caller and Hamza is the receiver, I call to Hamza. Hamza is not lifting. I try once, I try 2 times, then 3rd time I feel, what is this Hamza doing? He's not even attending my call. I get angry with you, right?
Yes.
And I ask you, yes. So you are communicating. You are communicating. Even we are communicating by doing nothing.
Yeah.
Because it is impossible for being not communicating. Even you are sitting idle. Example, I am teaching, and this guy, this handsome guy, is very interestingly listening here. He is looking at me. So is he communicating? Yes, he is communicating that he is following me. And there may be X person in the corner. When I am talking, they just do their business or just try to do like this, try to keep like this. Gestures, they are communicating. So today, our target is how do we communicate? What are the types of communications? There are mainly two kinds. Let's go one by one with the help of the PowerPoint. See, most of the time, we people, we believe that since we don't know English, we cannot communicate. But according to a research was done on communication, and they found that only 7% of all the communication is by words, by what we use, the language, only 7%. And 38% is by the tone of voice. Okay. Tone of voice means, I'll tell you one example. I have a student in my department. Just joking, okay? I have a student in my department. Whenever I see my student, I just wish him health. It is suspense, whether she or he, I don't say that. I wish him or her. The moment I wish, I say, how are you? She says, very, very bad. Very, very bad, very serious. Then I feel, oh, did I do something wrong with her? Why is she reciprocate? Why is she replying like that? But actual problem was not me. Her mindset was not well. She was not really happy about her grades, her subject. So in that mood, I greeted her. It was a wrong moment for me. So it is not what you say, it is how you say that matters. If I ask you, if the same person said, very bad doctor, I feel sorry, that conveys a different meaning. So 7% is by what we use, the words, 38% how we say. Okay? So 38 plus 7, it is 45. And the remaining 50% is by non-verbal communication. It is not by words, it is by our gestures, it is by our expressions, it is by our body language. So we have two kinds. Let's see now. 55% of our communication is non-verbal communication. Just leave it like that. Don't note it. Okay. Types of communication today. One is verbal communication. The second one is non-verbal. Verbal means using words and let us see now. It's not just what you say, but how you say that matters. Look here. Words 7%. Only 7%. Whether it's English or Arabic or French or Italian, anything. Only 7% is the effect of your words. And remaining 38%, it is the way you say it. The same word, the way you use your voice. The modulation. How politely you say. Okay? There are two kinds, like someone is there. Please come inside. Please come. It gives a lot of meaning to the person. Instead of coming, he will go. If I say, please come. So it matters how we say it. It is 38%. So don't worry, even if you don't know English, it's not how you speak English, it's not what word you use, it's how you communicate. Okay? I have some examples. I'll tell you one by one. What are the most common ways? Firstly, what are the various ways that we use to communicate? The first one is, this is spoken word. We speak, I am speaking now. Then written. Then body language. Body language means how I speak to you. For example, for example, if I stand like this all the time, or if I stand like this all the time, it gives you some meaning. So there is a way I stand here, there is a way I speak to you. This is called body language. We see that later. Then visual images, pictures. If you see a picture, it is worth 1,000 words. If you speak 1,000 words, the 1,000 words meaning can be conveyed by a single picture. So if you are a teacher, always try to use pictures, graphs, videos to make your students or your listeners effective listeners, to make your lecture effective. Okay? So these are 4 ways. Verbal means talking and reading the written words. I can talk, I can also read the words. Read means again I am speaking. It all with speaking. It is verbal communication. Using your voice to communicate with others. Use the voice, modulation. How are you? It's not very roughly. How are you? Just use the modulation of your voice to convince the people who you are talking to. Example, a phone call. When you are talking on the phone, you are communicating verbally. It's not non-verbal. And non-verbal communication is, it does not involve talking. It doesn't involve talking or words. There are no words in this. Example, shaking your head to mean no and yes. How do you say no using your head? Yes? So this is a non-verbal communication. It also involves using pictures, body language, it's all non-verbal. And passing notes, sending a text message. If I send a text message, it is also non-verbal. Now the question is, how important is verbal communication in comparison with non-verbal communication? That means, when compared to verbal and non-verbal, which one is important, which one is not important? We have to understand that. So, to understand this, let us play a small game. The game is, I need one volunteer. I have a paper here. In the paper there are some pictures. There is some information in this paper. And I want somebody to come here. You can do that? Very good. So please come here. So the game is closed. It is closed. Okay, ready?
شخصية ثانية مشهورة في ليبيا أعلى منا.
Okay. Okay.
سنوس.
They say Omar Mukhtar, I say this is
Here. So now what you understand from these 2 games? The first game was on verbal communication. The second game was on non-verbal communication. Now tell me which one is important, which one is not important.
All is important.
Both are important. You have to use, if you want to be effective communicator, if you want to communicate effectively, if you want to communicate to all the participants effectively, if everyone has to understand you, you must use your verbal words, verbal communication and non-verbal communication.